Join me as you and you take a journey to become better writers together and geek out.
Well, hello there, Apple Bites. This is your Apple Bite Writ Ralph talking to you straight from our show here, The Written Writ. And of course, today we got Matta Sorcier and our pal Jerry from Thorny. Hello there, Apple Bites. This is your Apple Bite Writ Ralph talking to you straight from our show.
Who's got that echo going on there? Is it me? It's not me this time.
And our pal Jerry from Thorny.
It just keeps going.
Who's got that echo? Are you looking at Instagram? It's not me this time. This is trippy.
It just keeps going.
That showed you the delay.
It was
Did you have YouTube open on another tab maybe or something?
No, I had the Instagram open.
Oh, yeah, because it just streams with the sound with no regard for your personal well-being.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's trippy.
Dude,
you could have had the whole show like that. It would
have
been very confusing.
I haven't done that freaking Instagram thing because it just seems like such a chore.
But hey, it works.
We are still alive. Okay. I'm looking at the Instagram feed on my phone now.
Oh, I gotta see this now.
I think it says that we're still going.
Let's all go to our phones.
Let's all go on Instagram and watch it and have the sound on, and we'll have like a triple echo, and it'll be just a terrible time for everybody involved.
Then we have to talk like this. In this corner.
Let's get ready to rumble.
I thought it was going to echo forever. That was terrifying.
That was funny.
Ralph, I love your voice, but not like on a loop forever, you know?
Dude, I said that all the time. I can handle me, but anytime I hear an echo of me, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're not used to the sound of your own voice. So when you hear your own voice, you're like, is that me? Is that what I sound like?
That's it.
It's so funny because everybody else goes, oh my God, Ralph, your voice, blah, blah, blah. But when I hear my voice, it sounds really weird. It doesn't sound like no smooth Barry Manilow's happen.
Oh my goodness.
All right, Jerry, let's start this off good. Tell the people who you are, all the good stuff. Let them know what's going on because I like these Grizzlies.
Hold on, I'm going to loosen up.
All right. Limber up. Do your stretches. Come on. One, two. All right.
So oh, there it is already. Wow. Okay. All right. We're jumping right in the deep end too, guys. Okay. All right. So I'm Jerry Carita. I'm the founder of Thorny Comics. I've been working a lot with another company called Blue Juice Comics. So a lot of people, that's actually how I met you, Ralph. We met at New York Comic Con, or was it Brooklyn? I think it was Brooklyn.
Where did you start with Blue Juice?
So those are my buddies for like the last 15 years. Those are guys I work with in TV. We're all TV
because I feel like I've seen you before.
Yeah,
because we've been talking to Blue Juice actually since Bit and Apple started, 2015.
Going way back.
Yeah.
Wow, that's almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a deep cut. Yeah, they just had their 10-year anniversary like a year or two ago. So that's
when we first started interviewing you guys, your books were like at #1, or you had only a couple issues.
Yeah, they have a whole series now. They have like four or five volumes for most of their books now, and we're actually working on a new volume of one of their bigger ones. And Bonnie's coming back, which is like one of their bigger ones, which is cool. The Echo Show. Thank you. Yep. I love it. So I started Thorny Comics a couple of years, about a little over a year ago.
Here's a question for you before you jump into it.
Okay.
All right. So Thorny was an idea before you started working with Blue Juice?
No.
Okay,
so the Blue Juice started on the set of Comic Book Men, which is a TV show that I produced with the guys from Blue Juice Comics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's my day job. I'm a reality show producer, and that's how I got into Comic Book Men. I was sitting in a comic book shop all the time. I had grown up. My geek thing as a kid was TV. It was not comic. No one ever gave me the book. No one ever, that moment everyone has where someone gives you a comic when you're like 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, and you're like, oh my God, I found my people.
Yeah, I never had that either. So kindred spirits.
I didn't get that until 10 years ago. So I was in my 30s already. So they started Blue Juice Comics, and then during the pandemic, after the pandemic, I started working with them to kind of get back into the convention game. So we did New York Comic Con, we did MegaCon 2 years in a row. We did a convention more recently in Virginia. I did one by myself on their behalf at Brooklyn, in Brooklyn Comic Con. I did one in Jersey. So, you know, I started doing that, and I kind of used it as an opportunity to learn about the whole comics publishing business. And, you know, I refused to accept, and I didn't refuse to accept, but I learned that no one makes any money doing this. But it is, it's a labor of love. I decided to jump in anyway. And yeah, so here I am. So I started Thorny Comics only about 2 years ago. I started thinking about Thorny Comics about 2 years ago. I really only started calling it Thorny Comics a little over a year ago. And it's my own little publisher where I will publish things that I've written and things friends of mine have written. You know, I'm working as an editor and a publisher in addition to my own stuff. So Grizzly Crew, which we're talking about in a few minutes, is my own thing. Then a week from now, I'm launching another Kickstarter for Scott Snyder Presents the CloakRoom, which is an ongoing anthology series that I'm publishing and editing. Oh, wow. Look at you.
Yeah.
You're all over it. I had no idea. I didn't even send you that link.
I don't know. It's the journalist in me.
Yeah,
that was good, man. That was really good.
I ran into this. I was like, oh, he didn't tell me about this.
No, I didn't, because I was supposed to talk about the other one. Listen, my agent's going to be very upset that I'm talking about both of these things. I wish I had an agent.
You are your agent, and you can be upset with yourself.
You are your agent, and you are upset with yourself because you're going, oh, man, we're supposed to be talking about the other one.
No, this is great, too. I wanted to talk about everything. So this is, I'm in Scott Snyder's Best Jacket writing workshop thing that's an ongoing.
I remember you told me about this, yeah.
Yeah, and so he's super supportive. Over the last couple of years, different groups of people in the class have gotten together and compiled a short story collection, you know, once every year for the last 2 years. So this year, one of the other students, Veronica Howell, and I, we took over the project and we turned it into an ongoing series. So every 3 months, there'll be a new, you know, 40 to 50 page issue of short stories, all written by people who are developing their stories with Scott Snyder in the class.
Nice.
And so Scott's super supportive of it. He's read most of the stories. We've talked about it. He's actually offered to be even more helpful and supportive. And there was a point where we were like, let us do some of the work. We can do it.
Oh.
But he's like the nicest guy. He's great. And this is sort of all, you know, born out of him being really gracious and willing to like help all of us, like, you know, grow our story, tell our story the best way possible. And, you know, I wanted to help use my Kickstarter experience and my little burgeoning publisher to keep it going, so it would keep coming back every year. And the ongoing anthology thing just seemed like it might be easier to do like 5 or 6 stories at a time rather than get 20 something stories together all at once. Yeah, publish that as a hardcover.
Trying to wrangle people to hit deadlines is it's a thing. Like I've been part of a few anthologies, and it's like usually what the organizer does is they'll give us like a date where it's like, all right, everything's due on like in August, the 1st of August or whatever, and then everyone's like, well, I can't really turn anything in until September, and he's like, haha, well, that was the real due date anyway.
Yeah, we've got great though, because it gives you, especially like as somebody who doesn't have all that stuff to do their own book, it's a good way to dip your foot in there.
Oh yeah, it's exactly, and that's the whole thing, is that all these people, everyone joined that group, joined the class because they have stories they want to tell and they want to learn how to tell them more effectively. And it's also nice for me because I've always kind of liked, you know, even when I was working when I work in television, I work sometimes as an editor, you know, like a writing editor or a writer in television. I've always operated better if someone else kind of throws a bunch of creative ideas out there and I can kind of help organize it. Right. So I think that comic book editing is something that I always wanted to try my hand at as well. And it kind of lets me flex that muscle rather than my writing muscle. And it gives all these other people who, a lot of them are in college. A lot of these people are like, you know, still in school. Some of them have podcasts and are older, like adults and parents and stuff. But a lot of them are the editors for volume 2. 2 of them are still in college.
Wow.
You know, so
you gotta start them young.
Yeah, they're all young. They all have like bright futures, and they're all really into this whole comic book thing. So it's nice to just be able to use what little ability I have in this world to help give them a spot to publish their stories. You know, I'm having a really great time doing it. And again, Scott's awesome and like the nicest guy in the world.
See, that's what we should be doing, though. We should, you know, especially here on Bitnap, we like to say that we raise each other up because it's the best way to get to the top. You know, when you're doing it by yourself, it's difficult. You know, But if you got a group of people who are all rising at the same time, it's a much better process.
Right. Yeah, and that's kind of the idea. It's nice. It's nice that these guys, like almost everybody I've met so far in comics, has been like that. You know, I haven't. I know there's like some people that become divas when they get us to a certain level, but you know, I'm so far below that I'm like, everyone I've met has been really sweet and nice, and like I'm in a couple of Discord groups with other Kickstarter creators. Like Travis Gibb is a big one. And
he's a great guy.
Yeah,
we had him on the show a while back too. I got to like wrangle him and get him on here.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's awesome. Charlie Stickney, Frank Martin. There's a bunch of guys who are in.
Oh, we know Frank.
Charlie is also a great guy.
Yeah,
like Charlie is always willing to give like the most sage advice to like anybody who asks. It's amazing.
And that's a lot of what it is. It's all these groups of people who just like, someone will have a question about. I mean, everything from here's a variant cover I'm thinking of using. Can you guys recommend a colorist? To which publisher, which printer are you using? And they're all so happy to just tell you exactly what they did, how they did it, and you know, see if it's right for you. So they're all so supportive and so like just nice. Just everyone's so nice.
That's how it should be, because there shouldn't be like secrets in the industry where it's just like, oh well, I'm not telling you what printer I use because then you're gonna print through them. Like, what is even the logic to that?
Right.
But there are people out there who are like that. They're just like, oh, I'm not telling you anything. Like, why would you do that?
And it's funny though, because you know, everybody acts like everybody's competition, but no, we're not competition. The only competition we have, and that's barely, it's Marvel and DC. And you know,
that's still in a completely different league though, because people are coming to us for like stories that Marvel and DC aren't doing. Like not in a million years would never produce.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I found among all these Kickstarter things, is that like it's basically, you know, because of the way the whole world works financially, comic shops can't take a lot of risks on indie books. You know, there are people who are indie, but they're not really, like Image isn't really indie. You know,
right, yeah.
But they can't roll the dice because it costs them money to do that. And so where are people going to get those books? And Kickstarter, places like Kickstarter, Zoop, all these like places have kind of filled that void. Yeah. And so there's a hardcore, not even that many, you know, like really successful Kickstarter campaigns are still only hitting like a few hundred backers. Yeah. So there's really not that many people, you know what I mean? It's maybe a few thousand total who are like actively looking for books on Kickstarter. But they're happy to support as many books as look entertaining and fun to them.
Yeah, it's wild when I see a new backer show up, and I always investigate people, because like if I see a new backer, I'm like, who is this person? And I click on the name, and then it's like, oh, they've backed like 1,857 comics.
Right.
Like, that's amazing.
That's what you want to see.
That's exactly what you want to see. You want to see people who are like super like just into indie comics and wanting to support things and just like wanting to make these like very small things happen.
Right. Yeah, and that's what it is. It's sort of that spirit of Kickstarter where you feel like you're getting something new off the ground. So, you know, people love doing that. People love to feel like they helped you make your story that they now get to read and enjoy. And it's also supportive. It's like it's like actually kind of crazy how supportive and nice and not competitive most people have been so far.
Yeah, I think because a lot of us realize that, like, even if, like, let's say I do a pirate book and you do a pirate book, we're not going to be doing the same pirate book. Like, there's no, like, oh, you took my idea, we're both doing pirate books, so we're competition. Instead, like, we're both doing pirate books. Let's cross-promote. If you back my pirate book and his pirate book, you'll get this, like, pirate thing. And, like, it's easier to lift each other up than it is to, like, think of each other as competition.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of, there's been a number of cross-promotional things that I thought were kind of cool like that, where you know, one creator will draw the other creator's character, and kind of
I like those dual covers.
Yeah.
Or I think the coolest thing I've ever seen was a guitar pick, which was like my pal John Westhoff for Drumsticks of Doom did a collaboration with Travis Gibb when he was doing Granite State Punk, and they're just like, back both things and you get like a guitar pick with our logos on it. It's like, I don't play guitar anymore, but I kind of want that.
Yeah. Travis has been really good. He's been trying to like figure out other ways, I think, to cross promote like that. Like they did that hospice thing where it was a shared universe.
Oh my God. Yeah. It was like 6 or 8 books or something, and they all had their own thing going on.
Yeah. It's like an anthology where they all just produced their own story in the anthology totally separately and ran all the Kickstarters simultaneously. It was a very, very cool concept.
You have to do this stuff though, because, you know, like you were just saying, the people that are supporting, Even though there's a lot of people out there, I'm not gonna say they're not, but I feel like it's a certain group of people that's going from Kickstarter to Kickstarter supporting them. Maybe it's not the same group, but it's a small enough group that you start to worry.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's fun? Kickstarter actually gives you. I don't know how. Have you guys done Kickstarters of your own?
Too many.
Well, Matta's doing one right now.
I'm on my 11th.
Yeah.
Oh, there is. I'm gonna look it up. Sacrimony on Kickstarter. I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah.
So
I think I'm on my 11th or 12th. I've lost count, but yeah, there's been a lot.
Sorry, I'm actually typing it in now.
Oh my goodness.
There you are. Oh, I've actually seen this a few times. It's already popped up a couple times on my own feed.
That's good.
Yeah, because I'm persistent like that. I will not go away no matter how many times people tell me to go away.
Dude, her art is amazing. She's a one-woman show.
Oh.
I think my favorite line from Matta is that I can't even afford to pay myself.
It's sad but true because I do everything, so it's like, I definitely don't make enough to cover the amount of work that I do, but I still love what I do, so I do it anyway because I'm stupid.
That's pretty good. I love it.
Thank
this
you.
is great. I'm gonna back this when we get off the call here. This is great.
Thank you.
So they give you a lot of information about your balance,
yes.
a lot of data. So you can kind of see how many people are super backers where they're backing like multiple things a month and you just happen to get sucked up in that vacuum, or if they're more selective. And if you got a bunch of those people, that to me is a sign of a really good campaign.
Yeah.
Yes.
You've got people who will only back one or two things a month.
And you happen to be the one they keep coming back to. You feel like you've done something right.
Yeah.
The fun thing is when I do cross promotions with friends, it's always fun to see like my backers' names pop up on their campaigns, like in the comments or whatever. And it's like, it's just knowing that like somehow you helped each other, like share your audience.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Anytime I see any of the people from Bit and Apple, the people we know from Bit and Apple, jump onto like Sacrimony or jump onto like Cicada, I'm like, ha!
Yeah, and then you see them like popping up in the comments like, yay, I love this comic. And
exactly.
It's just like amazing. It's such a good warm fuzzy feel to have.
Especially because this is the reason we started all this. Well, not Kickstarters, but we were going to convention, and we realized, especially because we were doing this for somebody else, and that other person just wanted to talk to the stars and the media people and all those. And I'm like, well, they already have press. They don't really need
like they don't need you guys. It's the little guys that need you.
Exactly. And you would see all these creators that were doing fantastic things. And I'm like, we should go talk to them. And the guy would be like, no, man, they're not going to get us views.
Yeah, it's so painful because it's like that's really what it boils down to. Because I know like podcaster friends who are like, oh, I have this like big artist from Marvel on here or whatever, and then it's like they get a lot of views, and then they talk to someone like me, and then they got like 10 views, and it's like, yeah, I know it's a little disappointing, but also like, you're helping the little guy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I feel like Jerry, you are in the thick of this now, because I feel like you've actually jumped into the pool, and now you're going, okay,
yeah,
So what have you realized as now you're in the pool, you're doing Thorny, you're doing Blue Juice, what's come to you to the top of your head here?
That's a good question.
What's come to the top of my head, meaning like what am I thinking?
Yeah.
I wonder what I'm thinking.
Now you're seeing you're seeing it from different angles now. So I feel like you have like an insight on what's going on because you're like pretty much in the thick of it actually.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say like what I've learned that there's like a really supportive group of people who just want to be helpful and nice and like lift each other up, which has been awesome. I think that I often feel like these days that I've bitten off more than I can chew. Like I've only done a couple of Kickstarters. I ran one for Blue Juice for Billy Kit, and then I did my own for Cicada Samurai. Yeah, they all did very well. Like I've been kind of very lucky that way. And now I'm doing two at one time basically because one's gonna launch tomorrow, and then
that's a question I was about to ask you because I know that Kickstarter makes it difficult to do more than one at the same time. So how are you doing?
I have two different accounts. Yeah. I saw this one was Jerry Carita Thorny Comics, and the other one was just the regular Thorny Comics one. Yeah. So
okay,
that's how you get around it.
So in theory, this one I would use. I'm planning to use specifically for my own creations.
Makes sense.
And then,
well, you're part of
the other one,
anyway, yeah.
The other ones are things I'm publishing for other people. So the Scott Snyder project will go there. Reign of Dracula is on that account. You know, and then
Reign of Dracula was the first one that you did under that account, right?
Yeah.
I think
that was the first one on that account.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
The whole conversation.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Jerry was supposed to be here with us, but stuff happened.
Yeah, I know. It was that's how Rich, right? Didn't Rich end up coming on at that point?
Yeah, Rich came
on.
Rich
and Les were on.
Yeah.
And then we found out what a monster Les was in like the art department, and I felt like I was like put to shame.
He's amazing. He's actually he's doing one of the stories for the second issue of the CloakRoom, the Scott Snyder project. He's working with a writer named Anna Papil from Australia, and he actually just started on it today. He's
probably gonna finish like tomorrow because he's an absolute monster.
He is a monster. Did he tell? I don't know how much. Did he tell you he had a stroke a year ago?
Yes, and then he drew like 50 comics after that, and I'm just like,
he was like, I did it with one hand. I was like, God.
Yeah, he's like, I drew like horses on motorcycles and motorcycles riding horses, and I'm just like, stop. Please.
Did he tell you about the covers for Reign of Dracula, how he painted them?
Yeah.
There were like these giant like 6-foot panels or something, and he had to like put them outside because they were just so huge. Yes, I have committed that to memory, and I feel great shame about my own artistic prowess now.
With one hand, totally putting everyone to shame. Everybody.
Seriously, like I want to just go and hide in a hole now. Like anytime I hear what he's done, I'm just like, I'm done. I give up. There's nothing else I can do.
He told me, I spoke to him earlier today about the story. He's doing a 9-page story that's going to be a lot of ink and shadow. It's actually called The Shadows, and it's sort of takes place at night, and it's like a woman who delves literally physically into a shadow, and it's kind of a representation of her own demons in her mind and stuff like that.
Oof, been there.
I like that.
Very good. That was very good.
Relatable.
Yeah, it was good. So we talked about it today for a few minutes, and he very like calmly just was like, Jerry, I don't know if I know we've worked together once before, but you know, just so you know, once I'll probably get to focus on this in about a week, and once I do, probably take me about 2 or 3 days to finish. I was like, okay, great.
He's not human. He can't be.
Yeah,
dude. I don't know. Gage the Wolf is going. That looks like a cute book.
It is.
Dude, I was saying this in the green room, and this looks like you're ready for an animated series.
I'm ready to watch this. Yeah. Like, what channel do I turn into? Or what streaming service do I have to purchase?
A lot of the Ralph, are you able to show the other images I sent you?
I can do that. You just keep talking.
Okay, I'll keep talking. If it's a thing, then don't do it. But I say,
no, it's just going to take me a while to get there.
No, it's fine. This covers Pablo Verdugo. The other Nick Justice is my artist on the series, and he did the character designs from all the stuff I did with my son, and he's been amazing. We just finished his cover, so his will be the main cover on the book, and it is sort of like all of the characters. One of the creative touchstones were cartoons I watched when I was a kid. So like Tailspin, and the Gummy Bears and stuff like that. And so I like going back even further. 2 of my favorite older Disney movies were The Jungle Book and Robin Hood. And so
that Robin Hood is legendary. Exactly. Everybody talks about it. I feel like on Monday somebody had brought it up. Yeah,
the girl from Fate's End, and her character. Oh, dude. Go ahead, talk. I found her book because I've been cleaning up the house. Go ahead, talk.
No, that's good. No, but I love so those were some of the creative touchstones where I was like, I want it to be like anthropomorphic animals. They're in a world where everyone else is human for the most part. They're the only animals in this world like that are behaving like humans. Everyone else is a human for the most part.
Interesting.
And the creative touchdown was those kinds of characters. So he kind of ran with it. So it looks very much like cartoons that I used to watch when I was a kid. I started watching Gummy Bears with my son now because I
love Gummy Bears. Love the theme song. That theme song is constantly playing in my head.
Oh my God.
Bears bouncing everywhere.
Aren't they beautiful?
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Adorable.
I found the book. I'm like, okay, now time to read.
Oh, that is a chunker of a book.
Characters.
Those are awesome.
I want to make a literal cat burglar.
I saw her do this, and I had to get her on the show because sometimes you're looking for a way to get new players into D&D, and this just feels like completely it, especially for kids.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was the thing with this. I wanted to write something that my son could actually read.
Always great.
Cicada Samurai is a little more violent, and like Billy the Kid, the first one that they knew, like Billy the Kid's the first book I actively worked on as an editor, and my kids, that's when they were like, "Oh, Dad makes comics. That's cool." And so, I couldn't let them read that though. I don't know if you've both read Billy the Kid, but it's like,
oh yeah,
it's like 90% words that they are not allowed to read.
Oh dear.
Which is funny because if you just look at the images, you can go, okay, this works. But then as soon as you start reading it, you're like, oh
dear.
Yeah. Like it looks like a cartoon. So that's also the first volume of that came out right when I started going to conventions with them. So when we hit New York Comic Con in 2021, we had just gotten or we were at MegaCon that year, I think. And like on Thursday afternoon of MegaCon, the first shipment of that volume 1 of Billy the Kid arrived. We're in our hotel. So we had it for the first time at that convention, and we put it on the table, and people walk up to the table and they pick up Anne Bonny because it's an all ages book with a cartoon pirate woman on the cover.
Dude, that book is fantastic.
And then they go to pick up, the next thing they do is they go to pick up Billy the Kid, and I had to keep taking it out of children's hands.
Oh my God. I had that problem as well. Actually. Yeah.
I'm like, I know it looks like Bugs Bunny in a cowboy hat, but it's not Bugs Bunny in a cowboy hat, I love that book though. But
it's great though. I think if you are actually paying attention to what your kid is reading and you guys are discussing it, then it works. But if you let your kid read it by himself,
it is not a babysitter. Like, do not just give it to your child and be like, here, entertain yourself.
Right. Yeah. It's the same thing with my kids. I have a handful that there are a handful of comics around that I let them read. I have a few things that I bought off of Kickstarter over the years that I let them read. I almost let my 12-year-old read. Have you guys read it's called I Hate You, Please Die?
Yeah.
I have not, but that sounds like a great title.
Yeah.
So you read the first issue? So I was going to let my 12-year-old read it, and then I was thumbing through it, and I'm like, it's super cartoony looking. There's not really a lot of cursing. I'm sure it's fine. And it's about like an angsty, like, teenager, like younger than that really. And then I got to like 18 pages in, and like the main character, I don't want to give like the whole thing, give anything away, but like there's like a suicide subplot that goes on for a minute before he makes the fun deal with the devil that ends up with him with the ability to murder a bunch of people just by saying the words.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh my God. I was reading it, and I'm like, whoa. Like, okay. So Gerard, maybe we should talk about this a little bit before we get into it, buddy. He's 12, and I'm like, talk about it a little bit, and then maybe.
It's good that you talk about it and you don't just take it off the table completely and say like, no, this is a forbidden book. It's bad. You can't read it.
Yeah. Son of Spain was like, that's totally kid friendly.
Yeah, I mean, I was like 13 when I read Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, and I turned out okay. Nobody read it with me. Nobody talked me through it. I was just like, okay, this is great. He's just killing people.
Yeah. I made a really big point whenever I could with my kids to just answer questions like that and kind of be a guide so that they come to me with questions. Because like I remember being like a 13-year-old boy, and 13-year-old boys are idiots, and I don't want him getting any information from other 13-year-old boys.
I can vouch that 13-year-old girls are also idiots. So.
Oh, I remember being around them a lot. So
13-year-old girls just hide it better.
No argument.
This is fair. Yeah, we're conditioned to hide it better, but we're still just as stupid.
Most of my best friends in my life have been girls, so I know things I shouldn't know.
Oh dear.
Gage says that it's awesome. That was something that inspired you to do this.
Yeah. This is this is Captain Wolfheart. This is an Arctic wolf. He's the villain, the main monster villain in the story.
He looks so cool though.
Yeah.
Can I tell you again, my little boy, the first version that Nick drew that he said this is Captain Wolfheart, it looked a little bit like Wile E. Coyote. and my son watches a lot of Looney Tunes, like a lot of Looney Tunes. Loves old Looney Tunes.
Nice.
He loves them. Have you ever seen? Was it Me TV? It's like some Jersey.
Oh, I love Me TV. They
yeah,
do,
my mom is always watching Me TV because it just shows like classic shows.
Yeah, he watches all those old cartoons with my father-in-law. My father-in-law saves all the episodes and they watch it together. So he looked at it at 7 years old at the time, and he was like, "That can't be Captain Wolfheart." Like, right away, and I'm like, "Why? Like, why not?" And he goes, "He's too funny. Like that looks like Wile E. Coyote. He's too.
Oh my god.
He should be scary, or it should be like a big scary wolf." And I was like, all right. So I gave Nick the note, and this is the second thing Nick drew.
I think your son needs to be a character designer because he can recognize like what makes something funny and like what will work. Like definitely encourage that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. He spends a lot of what he does on YouTube is he'll look at characters and kind of. So this is actually another one where Nick drew this. Nick drew Jimmy the koala bear. And then my son looked at him. He originally had a feather coming out of his hat that my son, for whatever reason, hated. His feet used to look more like normal feet, as opposed to like koala feet, which are grippy.
Right.
And then he goes. Dad, he needs another thumb. And I was like, what? He goes, he just watches. He watches a lot of YouTube videos about animals, like documentary things about animals. So because we were doing this, he started watching one about koala bears. I didn't know this. Koala bears have a second opposable digit. So they have two thumbs, basically, so they can grip things better.
Yeah.
And so he said he needs another thumb. So I don't know if you can zoom in there at all, but Jimmy the koala bear has two thumbs now gripping that sword. So Nick had to and then he was like his feet should be like hands so that he can climb. He's going to be the one who can climb to that thing on the top of the ship. And so because his feet, he's a good climber.
Oh, there you go.
Wow.
So Nick redrew it with a second thumb in there.
Yeah, you can really see the detail.
Yeah, definitely.
I like the fact that he's actually on top of it.
Yeah, right? Like that's amazing because some kids would just look at like the first concept and be like, "Oh yeah, that's cool, whatever."
Yeah. He was very into he had a very good idea of it needed to do this because I'm going to have him climb to the the crow's nest in the ship.
Well, that actually makes sense.
I can't.
He's processing better than I do.
That's what I'm saying. Every conversation with him, I'm like, I'll just get out of your way. Why don't you just talk to Nick?
Seriously, just stop being the middleman. Just put them together and just let them discuss.
Yeah. And then this one's Rosie. So Rosie is a black bear that also is one of the pirates. She's young. She's based on my daughter.
Oh.
My daughter's name is Yvonne Rose. So Rosie. Harlan is the one who came up with the concept with me. It's Harlan James. So that's Jimmy. And then the polar bear's name is Stefan, which is my oldest son's middle name.
I like the fact that all the kids are in there.
Yeah. So this is the cover that Nick just did.
Adorable.
Nice cover.
It's great. And what I love about the covers is they're all like everyone can do their own version of this character. Like Nick's is very different from the one Pablo did.
True.
There's another artist named Len Danovich who's doing a third cover for me.
Oh, we know Len Danovich.
Yeah. So I think I'm getting that. I think he's been. It's my fault. I started him very late, like 2 days ago. I was like, "Can you do a cover like in 48 hours?"
Oof.
And he was like, "Probably."
All right, reasonable answer.
Totally. So here we go. So it's a race against the clock now. I'll get it right before the campaign kicks off tomorrow night.
Oh, it's tomorrow.
Yeah, we're starting it tomorrow night. And then
did you do a delay? Because I think you told me like it was Tuesday, suppose. Okay.
Yeah, it's moved. It's like floating around. Like tonight, I was gonna do tonight for sure, and I decided I wanted to wait for Len's cover. I didn't want to add it later or add the art later.
Fair.
Makes sense.
Yeah, because you want it to be there for like the first day, so people get really excited about it and like they get it right away.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you need to be paying this kid for his services.
Yeah, no kidding. He's like, I'm waiting for him to tell me like you're gonna need to talk to my lawyer, Dad, about my.
He gets credit as like creative director.
Dude, I love this cover.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's Pablo Verdugo. Pablo did like my favorite cover from one of my favorite covers from Billy the Kid. It became kind of the main one for the campaign. He's great.
It's so dynamic, and the colors are just like on point.
So animated, yeah.
I want it to like start moving.
One day.
One day.
One day, yeah. That's the dream, I guess.
One day. I'm hoping. I wish I'd spent more time in TV getting into that. So these are some internal pages that are not colored yet. The book is full disclosure for everyone. The book is not 100% complete. I'm actually going to use the money to finish the book.
I thought you were going to tell me, we went Ninja Turtle.
Oh, no. So this is the beginning of the story is we're in a village. It's under attack by actual scary evil pirates. And I told Nick does a lot of, he does some horror and stuff, but a lot of what I know him from is like, he does the Anne Bonny, which is another pirate book for kids. And so I told him I wanted it to be really scary. So like these pirates attacking this village are actually kind of a little bit, a little terrifying. Not like, not safe for kids terrifying, but, a little actually scary. And so the idea is that these kids who are cowering in fear are afraid these pirates are going to come back. And so if you move to the next, I think I numbered these pages, right? So this is 1, and then we jump ahead to, so that like the next night they don't want to go to sleep and they're kind of arguing.
I don't blame them.
Yeah, seriously, I would never sleep after that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they're kind of arguing over, you're afraid, no, you're afraid. And then their dad comes in and, initially it's like, it's bedtime, go to sleep, which is what dads do. Followed by, Dad, we're afraid. And then, they sit down and he starts to tell them, like, you guys don't need to worry. The pirates aren't coming back. We hired the Grizzly crew. And the kids are like,
I like that fact that we hired the Grizzly crew.
Yeah, we hired them. Like they're the A-team. They're the A-team in this world.
Love it.
So speaking of Mr. Danovich, we know him because he is working with J.M. DeSantis on A Kid in a Comic for The Beast. Hold on.
Yeah, switch.
Yeah,
up.
what's that?
There you go. Oh, nice.
So A Kid in a Comic does comic strip style pieces, and J.M. and Len have been working on The Beast together.
Oh, that's awesome.
Very cool.
And I'm like, look at this beautiful art.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's great.
And I definitely love noir, and this looks very noir.
It does.
And we had JM on recently, I think. Yeah,
I think last week actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I missed that, but I was like,
for Garden State Comic Fest. There you go.
Yeah, I missed out on it, and I was really mad because I was like, oh man, I haven't seen him in like a minute.
And JM, he's busy. He's
prolific. He's everywhere.
Every time you turn around, he's there at some convention. I think he said he's going to hit 38 conventions this year.
Oh wow!
I think
there you go.
Yeah,
in case you guys are wondering,
my brain just hurts thinking about 38 conventions.
If you like your old Saturday morning comic strips and papers, this is all that this is. A huge comic strip paper full of a lot of beautiful superhero and other fantasy storytelling.
How often does that come out? Because that's a cool idea.
Every couple of months.
Oh,
this is number 4. I think they're working on number 5 right now.
Cool.
That's really awesome. That's a really
kind of
clever
to start
way.
Something like that.
Yeah. That's a really clever way to kind of have like a nostalgic thing, because everyone, anyone who remembers those kinds of comics and reading them on the Sunday paper or the funny pages.
Literally the only reason I bought the paper as a kid.
Exactly.
Who cares about the boring news and stocks and stuff? Like, I want to see what Spider-Man's up to.
Exactly. I would read the comic strip, and then I would No, I wouldn't read the news. Never mind.
No, you threw that away. You threw that shit away. You know that.
In retrospect, I should have known I'd be really into comics much earlier, because I would actually read the Family Circus.
Oh my god, yeah. It's like you'd read it and be like, I don't get it, but it's a cartoon, so okay, cool. I guess I'll read the next one.
Like, is it cute? I don't know. I think I hate these characters. Yeah, I'll check in next week. We'll see.
Yep. See if I hate them a little less or a little more. You know what? I'll just read it just to hate it and complain about it.
It's funny that you say that, because I was reading through Harry Potter, and I got through to the 5th book.
You got
I hate Harry Potter. I hate the character.
Wait, like the story or or Harry himself?
Oh, I hate Harry. He gets on my nerves.
That's valid though. I think you were saying he was like a selfish asshole, and
he's selfish.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Oh my god. and it's funny because I sit there reading through the book and I go, Hermione is actually the hero of this book.
Yep. Like the only one with a brain.
Yeah. and everyone spends all the books like kind of making fun of her for being the smartest person in the world.
Exactly. Gage the Wolf is like, I hated Umbridge. Yeah, everybody hated Umbridge. I hated Harry, and I hated Umbridge.
You were rooting for Umbridge. You're like, you know what? I hope Snape is evil, and I hope he kills you.
Dude, I liked Snape from like before, because it was funny because I started reading. I'm like, I like Snape. I think he's pretty much just putting Harry in his place. And then J.K. Rowling got upset because I think it kind of messed up her plan, because she was supposed to do this huge reveal that Snape isn't really a bad guy, but she did a great job at writing it so that you can tell that he wasn't completely a bad guy.
Right.
Which brings us back to good writing. And Jerry, you do a good job at this, because I like how you craft things. I know you're using your son's abilities here, but you're putting the story together.
It's actually pretty hard sometimes sneaking good ideas past him.
Oh my goodness.
Because he's like, he'll have notes on everything, and I'm like, dude, all right, like not everything. I have to actually write it. Like, you sometimes can't spell your own name. You're 8 years old. Let me do some of the work. Let me do some of the heavy lifting here, okay, buddy?
To be fair, I can't spell my name sometimes, so I don't know what my excuse is. I'm definitely not 8 years old.
That's fine. So yeah, that's the dad, and then there's one, you can skip one more, and then the dad just starts telling them about the Grizzly crew, and then the next page I think is
the Grizzly crew.
And so at a certain point, basically at that point, it becomes a story that the parents are telling the kids to help them sleep at night. The parents will keep interrupting. What's nice, what I'm really enjoying about this is it's the first time I've written something with a really unreliable narrator. It's the dad kind of narrating the story, and he's supposed to be putting the kid's mind at ease by telling them a story about these pirate bears that fight pirates, but he'll get carried away. And so sometimes the story he's telling will get even scarier. And then the kids are like, what? And then mom has to come in and take over the storytelling. And then
I love that
the trajectory of the story changes a little bit. And, she has to rewrite what dad already told.
Oh my God. I love that.
Yeah.
So it should be like a fun thing. It'll be an ongoing. I have I think it's a 5-issue plan now. When I sit down writing it, I'm sure it'll end up being wanting to be like 8 or something like that. But
that always happens. Like, yeah. I can wrap this up in 3 issues, right? And you're like the 9th issue in, and you're like, all right, maybe I can't.
So, and then the question will be, are the Grizzly crew real or not?
I love that. I like when you leave it up in the air, and people have to decide what's the truth.
Right. This was the first splash, kind of pin-up that Nick did with the characters.
Epic.
It has a Princess Bride type of storytelling style, because, you have that parental figure telling
the
story.
Yeah. And then you have the kids questioning it, like, did this really happen?
Or the kid getting scared.
This is a kissing book,
Can we skip the kissing part?
It's okay. And then by the end of the book, it's like, they can kiss.
Yep. Love it.
The Grizzly crew.
The Grizzly crew.
Dude, let me ask you this. We were talking about Disney and the Gummy Bears, and the Gummy Bears has that epic, kind of completely epic theme song.
Bouncing here and there and everywhere.
Exactly.
Adventure that's beyond compare.
Exactly. So is there a theme song in your head as soon as you see the Grizzly crew?
No, I haven't. I'm even like in my TV work, I work a lot in post-production. I can run an Avid and do some editing and stuff. I've never been able to sit down with the music and learn how to cut with it, and it's just a skill set I don't have. I'm not musical, so I don't. It'll get stuck in my head. Like, I'll have the Gummy Bears in my head for like a week now. Thank you very much. But
it's gonna be playing until I go to sleep tonight, and probably still while I'm dreaming.
Yep, it'll be the soundtrack to your dreams tonight.
Pretty much.
But I haven't really thought up a theme song. My daughter is pretty musical. She started learning piano, so she.
I was gonna say, get one of your kids on it, man. Like, you got 3 of them.
Might as well. Do the music.
Put them all to work.
Right.
Like the Jackson 5 of comics.
Oh my God! Hopefully with less trauma.
Less trauma.
It's funny, Gage.
No, I don't have a theme yet. I'm gonna start thinking about that. Maybe I'll just rewrite the Gummy Bears and I'll use that music and make it.
Yeah,
that's always a good way to do it. Yeah.
The Grizzly crew sailing here.
It kind of has an adventure, pirate type of thing.
Yeah, some of it you can leave alone. High adventure that's beyond compare.
Exactly.
The Grizzly crew.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're not like using it for profit, like why not? Just be like, hey, stretch goal, we have this song that we kind of just bastardized from another song.
That we
there you go. Yeah. It's parody. Yeah, so it's
parody. Yeah, it's a parody.
See, parrot tea. You put parrot tea.
Pirate tea?
As a parrot tea.
That's it. Nailed it.
Yeah.
Oh man, I really like what you put together, man.
Thank you, sir.
I feel like you've sat there gone, okay, this is what I'm looking at now. What do I want to do? Because this is completely different than the cicada.
I'm definitely trying to go into it all. Like I'm still treating everything. I'm so new to this, and I'm treating it all like learning experiences. And each one kind of informs the next thing that I do. I do like the Cicada Samurai idea. I'm going to come back to it. I've been working on a script for a full issue. This is already in my head, like a 5-issue story, for the first group. Same thing with Cicada. I have a 5-issue arc now in mind that I'm like outlining and working through. And then I don't know what I'm going to write next. For my own. I think I want to try and get a couple of issues of these things out in the world before I move on, like start a third new thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because like I've had discussions with like comic scripts and stuff behind the scenes, and it's usually like you want to get a few issues of the same thing under your belt just so people know that you're reliable and you're not gonna keep like jumping around. Like let's say you do issue 1 of this thing and then issue 1 of another thing and issue 1 of another thing, and they kind of like, well, he can't really commit to a series. Like he's just kind of jumping around. I don't know if I'm going to see issue 2 of this, so I don't know if I want issue 1. Yeah. So it's a smart move to want to get like a consistent thing going.
I see the audience agrees.
Yeah. Also, props to you for creating an all ages book that is not insulting to children. Because it's so easy to go with like the lowest hanging fruit and just like avoid anything that might like frighten children or whatever. Like how to lean into like, okay, this is going to be scary, but it's not going to be scary enough to like traumatize a child.
Yeah,
that's a very hard line to balance on.
And it has been, and I'm sure I'm going to be on the wrong side of that line at some point where there's something that like some parent is going to be like, this was too scary, something like that.
I completely understand you, Jerry, because my teddy bear superhero back here, it's written more like a noir, and right. I already know that somebody's gonna be like, "That was scary." I'm like, I wrote it as a noir. It's a teddy bear superhero. Yeah.
As long as you give like an age range, like if you're like, all right, this is a teddy bear superhero book, but it's for like 12 years and older, I think you can like kind of cover your ass and be safer.
I kind of wanted this. Like I think I said at the beginning, my son's afraid of bears. Like we were in North Carolina, and we were in like a mountainous area, and we were driving through. We weren't even stopping, and my wife just passively to me was like, "Are there bears around here?" And I'm like, "Hey, yeah, you'll never see one, but they're in the woods. Like we're in the Blue Ridge Mountains. There are bears around." And then and then that was it. Like totally like, yeah, they're around. You'll never see one, but yeah. And then like a few minutes later, Harlan was in the backseat and he was like really upset. Aww. And it was because just the general notion of bears somewhere out there in the world. And that was it. So this whole thing kind of came out of that. So I knew I wanted to tell a story about things their kids were scared of. Being a parent is like the thing that I know. So I wanted it to be like, how do we as parents kind of help ease those fears, and what are the stories we tell? And how do we get carried away telling those stories in a way that, maybe is worse? You're making it worse without meaning to.
Oh my goodness.
So that's all kind of in the story. I did the same thing with Cicada Samurai. I think, Ralph, you and I talked about that in that book, where it all came from, it's a samurai story about an immortal bug who like protects other bugs for 3 weeks every 17 years. And it's kind of like a ludicrous concept, but it's all because of anxiety about being a parent of kids who are getting older and going out in the world without me more.
Oh, definitely.
And like
some scary shit.
Yeah. And that was the underlying thing. I was like, I have 3 kids. Keeping them alive is really hard. Imagine if I had like billions of kids and I was the only adult and my only function was to try and keep
that sounds like a nightmare.
Oh my God.
And so that's what Cicada Samurai is. It's also like a samurai magical supernatural story about anthropomorphic bugs.
That's amazing.
but it comes out of like all my, fears and things that are scary. So I wanted to do that here too. I wanted it to be sort of, a thing that kids who are scared of stuff can read and have fun and kind of, that's it. Just see themselves in the story for real.
So, question: is your son still afraid of bears?
I don't know. Like, we've been talking about them so much with this thing that if we were in the woods, he'd probably still be terrified.
That's valid.
Yeah.
Like, somewhat related, I went to a friend's wedding upstate in New York like many, many years ago. It's actually their officiant, which was cool because I made their rings and it was like a whole thing. But it was like It was outdoor. We rented a cabin and we were like there for the weekend. They had the wedding, and then the next day there was like a bear in front of the cabin just hanging out, and we're like, that bear could have easily been at the wedding yesterday and like everything would have been horrifying, but luckily it wasn't. And like we were just very quiet. We just let the bear do its thing and we just waited for it to leave. There was a peach tree right out front, so it was like, oh, let me get some of those peaches. So it's like eating peaches from the tree, and like we just waited for it to go.
You just changed the song in my head.
Uh-oh.
Because now peaches is stuck. Well, now the other peaches is stuck in my head.
Which peaches? Because there's.
Well, it was presidents of the United States, but now it's Jack Black going peaches.
Oh my god!
Oh, now they're fighting each other. Oh.
Inside of you, there are two wolves. One is singing peaches. The other is also singing peaches.
Millions of peaches, peaches for me.
Oh god!
I'm old, people. What do you want?
I love it.
Uh-oh.
You're in good company.
See, look. He's agreeing.
That's it. That's funny.
I'm an adult and I'm scared of adulting.
It's horrifying, dude.
Horrifying.
Yeah, do not recommend.
And they don't really prepare you for everything that adulting means.
Yeah, I never got a manual. I never got instructions. Like nothing.
Because they act like everybody. Oh, you'll know what to do when you get there, and stuff like when your parents get older and all of a sudden you're their parent. They don't prepare you for that.
Oh God, don't even get me started. I didn't sign up for this. Didn't sign up for this. No.
I was reading about this a few years ago that there's a thing where it's like a biological thing that it ensures that your child will go and sort of like it like avoids crossbreeding and like on an evolutionary scale. But it's kind of this thing where kids, when they turn like 12, when they start to hit puberty, basically, they automatically start to believe that their parents are morons. And so you're just going to have 10 to 15 years of that, where they just think you're an idiot. No matter what you do, no matter how close you were before, it is specifically because it makes them go out into the world and seek out other people who they're not related to once they're old enough to like mate, basically.
That checks.
And then once they're older, it's that thing where you start to look back and you realize, oh, my parents weren't actually morons. They were just doing the best that they could. When you hit like your 30s, you start to look back and you're like, you hate them less and you think they're less stupid. I plead
the fifth, but
it comes full circle. But it's like a biological thing. So if you've got kids who are around that age, just hold on to your hat. It'll all be over soon.
They say that. Son of Satan is like, now I'm in charge.
Charged with raising too
many versions of me. Lord, give me strength.
Yeah, pray to whoever's gonna listen to you at this point. Like, I don't know.
That's the thing. It's like you could be 16 and suddenly a doctor gives you a baby and goes, keep this alive. Good luck. It's like insane, Yeah.
That's exactly what it feels. That's what life feels like. It feels like you're 16 and somebody goes, here. And you're like, what?
Look, here, have some responsibility.
I need like a license to fly a drone. I need like a license to fly a drone, but like you're going to give me a human and say, keep it alive. It's bonkers.
Ridiculous.
I'm like, I can barely keep myself alive.
Yeah. Sometimes you just have those days and you're like, how am I supposed to take care of literally anything else?
That's funny.
Yeah. But I think what a lot of it is that society tells you that you're supposed to be perfect at it. No, you're just supposed to do the best that you can and hope that you don't get it wrong.
And you're still going to get it wrong, but then it's about learning from getting it wrong.
It's really just accept that you will. And like eventually your kids will look back and realize you're just a human being. You're not perfect.
Yep.
I can barely walk the talk and breathe without screwing that up.
Real talk, you ever have that moment where you just kind of forget to breathe? Like, anybody ever have that?
Yeah.
Is it just me?
I thought it was just my ADHD.
It happens like when I'm like falling asleep and then suddenly I'm like, oh, I should be breathing.
Oh, do you do that thing where you jump right before you fall asleep?
Yep. Hate it. Absolutely hate it.
I read about that too. That's awful. I'm such a dork. So that's also like an evolutionary thing. It's basically like your people who had that last minute right before you doze off, like, oh, is everything okay? One last time before you fall asleep are the ones who didn't fall asleep like next to a lion's den and things like that. So it just is a trait that got passed on because your ancestors were good at staying alive and finding good places to sleep. That's basically what it is. And it's like a remnant from that.
Dude, I like all the little facts you keep throwing in there.
Yeah, I'm full of useless information.
No, that's useful stuff. I love these things. Are you kidding me?
It's because my kids ask questions
for that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Luckily, I don't snore, but I definitely like wake myself up in the middle of the night.
I call it gas. That's funny.
These guys are going off on the side.
I love it. Love it here. Very active chat today.
So, Jerry.
Yes, sir.
We're not at the end yet, but I figure that what we need to do is make sure that you come back on because you're gonna do this tomorrow, right?
I'm hitting go tomorrow night. Yes.
Right. So what we're gonna do is, if you want, you can come back next week as a guest host. Then you're guest host, and we can actually showcase your Kickstarter once it's kick-started.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, so we'll have you on as a guest host. You tell me if you want both days or one days. This is how I got Matta to do the show for me.
Yeah, no, I'm just here forever, and he's not rid of me ever. Never leaving him.
That's great.
Yeah, because I find that sometimes what you need is like a nice kick, and the fact that you got a show that you go, hey, by the way, I got a Kickstarter.
That's great.
And then, of course, I always get. I love it because it brings somebody else on that can geek out. And boy, you can geek out.
I'll try to get some more factoids for next week.
Yes, please do. I love those.
Information. Factoid is.
Yeah. I produced a season of The Food That Built America, so I can tell you all about like Krispy Kreme donuts and like.
Ooh, I love that show. That was a great show.
At TGI Fridays was the first singles bar in America. Like
random. Oh my goodness. Now TGI Fridays is just an absolute joke.
That's it.
Are there any left? I thought they all got closed down.
No, there's you know what's funny? I was at a wedding over the weekend in Miami, and on South Beach. South Beach only goes like 10 blocks on the south of that island. The last restaurant it's like all these Cuban restaurants and like really famous places. The very last restaurant before you turn out off of South Beach is a TGI Fridays.
Right.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
Especially for that area. Like
it's so
completely unexpected.
It's like such a sore thumb. It's so weird. It's like a bunch of like little boutique-y places and then like Walmart, like all in a row. It doesn't make any sense,
I love it. I hope it stands the test of time just for like weirdness points.
I feel like all the TGI Fridays in the city have been shut.
Well, the original one I think is still there. Like the original one was like on First Avenue and like 60-something Street.
I remember that one. I've been to that one once or twice.
That was the original one. That was the first bar back in like 1960 something, 66.
Because the one in downtown Manhattan is gone.
The one in the Bronx is gone, thankfully, because I've been there once and like never again.
The one on 42nd Street, the whole building is gone.
Yeah.
The one in oh my god, what is it? Penn Station? Yeah. There used to be one in there, it's gone.
Yeah. It used to be across from I think it was close to Madison Square Garden, if I remember correctly. It's like I almost went there and I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to Wendy's instead, which says a lot about TGI Fridays.
There's two that are popping up on the map here. One says 30th Street and Broadway, and the other one is actually right by Penn Station. So maybe it's permanently closed.
Yeah, no, yeah. Now I'm going to go through the city going, can we find it? On to the next adventures of Bit and Apple.
Bit and Apple goes to TGI Fridays and has regrets.
Does it still exist? We will be there for you.
How bad are their bottomless appetizers?
There's one right next to my movie theater, actually. The movie theater I go to in Brooklyn is the UA at Sheepshead Bay.
Oh, I know that one.
Yeah, there's like right across the parking lot. There's a Crab Shack place. There's a Cold Stone Creamery.
And I haven't been there in a long time.
Yeah.
I used to go to Kingsborough College.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh nice. Yeah, it's right there.
I got my broadcasting degree from Kingsborough College.
Oh, fancy.
Yeah, I'm an associated degree broadcasting guy who didn't use it for years because I went to a job, paid me some money, and said, "Hey, I can do this."
Yeah, that's all it takes.
Valid.
That's always you get sidetracked.
Oh my god, yeah, seriously.
Then a friend of mine goes, "Why aren't you using your broadcasting degree?" And I was like, "That's a good
money, capitalism."
One of the girls, my mom. What's the name of the high school that's on the campus there? Is it Einstein or something? Or Goldstein?
I forgot. Yeah, but I remember there's a high school next to it. Yeah,
there's a high school. It's like a public high school, but it's like one of those ones
right on the campus. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the girl my kids play tennis with goes there. It's a really beautiful campus. We used to go during the pandemic. We would go out there to Manhattan Beach and Brighton Beach and just walk along the water there.
It's funny because the college has its own beach.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it has its own beach. It has its own waterfront because it's right at the tip of the peninsula.
Right.
Amazing.
Loved it. Loved that college.
Right across from Randazzo's is right there.
Yeah.
So Randazzo's, we go there every once in a while, and we went there for my son, who the Grizzly crew co-creator, and we were on our way. He goes, This is like typical. This is like all you need to know about this boy. He goes, "Are we going to Randazzo?" This is for his seventh birthday. Okay. He goes, I said, "We're going to Randazzo's." He goes, "Oh, cool. Do they have seafood towers there?"
Dang.
Like 7-year-old. He's like, "Can I get some like shrimp cocktail, grilled octopus, sushi?" Like, he's like a very adventurous eater. This guy.
Wow.
That's what he was excited
about. I rarely get my daughter to eat anything but pizza.
Yeah.
Hey, pizza's good.
Exactly.
My daughter's like that too. My two boys are both very adventurous eaters. My daughter's a little bit more picky. Anyway.
I was always the adventurous eater in my family, and like no one else wanted to try anything, like especially sushi. Like, oh, that's raw fish, it's gonna kill you. Like, I'm still alive.
It took me a long time to try sushi.
I tried. The funny thing is, as a stupid teenager, I think I tried sushi when I was like 14 or whatever, because I was like, people said it's gonna kill me. Let's find out. Like, let me just put it in here and see what's going on. Does it live up to the hype? Nope, did not live up to the hype. Still alive. Indestructible. I'm a god now because that's how teenagers think.
They do think like that. I'm gonna jump off this bridge and nothing's gonna happen to me.
I regret everything.
Exactly. So, Matta, let's talk a little bit about Sacrimony. Tell the
Oh my god, yeah. Speaking of talking about people not being handed a manual for life, that's kind of what Sacrimony is all about. Where there's
look at the numbers.
Oh, it went up! Yay! Awesome. Yeah, I think you need to refresh my page more than I do because every time I refresh it, nothing happens. So we've got 5 days to go. We're getting down to the wire because we've still got a ways to go to get funded. This is going to be a no sleep nail biter for me until like Tuesday morning when whatever happens, which, I hope it will be the good thing that happens and not the bad thing that happens. But yeah.
You're so close now, though. At least I know it's inching. And I think I'm stressing out more than you because I'm actually watching this thing more than you. I'm like, come on, move.
Yeah, no, if I keep watching it, I'm just gonna be like face down on the floor, like, oh my god, I can't take this. So I try not to look at it too much. But yeah, we're getting there. I've got some work to do tomorrow. I'm gonna like reach out to past backers and be like, hey, time's running out. Like, please back the thing so we can, get in on this and get it funded, get some stretch goals going. But yeah, so it's the story of a teenage girl who died, but then she got better. And as with all mysterious resurrection stories, there's a catch. And the catch is that she has no memory of her past, no idea why she has magical powers, or why she has demon wings that she now has to hide from society. And yeah, it's her trying to live a normal life in the big city with her mom, who definitely was not handed the manual on like how to secretly parent your teenage daughter in a city that wants her dead.
That's funny.
So yeah, she's like,
makes some bad choices sometimes.
She does. I mean, she's bitter about it because she never asked for this child to begin with. So it's like she's kind of phoning in the parenting and trying to like, she's like a single immigrant working mom who's like working full time, trying to keep her kids safe, trying to keep herself safe, trying to stay sane because she's been through some stuff. She was married to a god and then like they got banished to the mortal realm. And, it's hard to exist in a society that's like praising a god that you know way too much about. And you're like, you can't really go around saying like, hey, this god is actually a jackass. I know this because, I died and came back to life or whatever. So yeah, there's a lot of layers to it. There's a lot of complex characters. There's a fancy fantasy backdrop, as you can see with the artwork. It's a very down to earth story despite being a fantasy story. Like the characters are relatable. They've got like very human problems. I always say it's like a story of like extraordinary people doing very ordinary things because instead of it being like, all right, we have to save the world now, it's more of just like, how do we make rent? How do we get by? Like how do we like find a job or whatever? How do I keep my kids safe? It's very like down to earth topics with a very fancy fantasy package.
That's what I like about it. It's a fantasy, but at the same time, it feels so close to home.
Right.
Yeah, I love when you read the first issue, Ralph, and you're just like, yep, I know people like that, I know people like that, and I know people like that. And that's exactly what the story is designed for. Like, you will see, like, a bit of yourself in characters. You'll see a lot of people you'll see, like, your shitty boss in that character, or you'll be like, oh, hey, this mom is actually a lot like my mom, where, like, she didn't have all the answers, she didn't know what to do, and she was just kind of trying to make the best of it.
Dude, you did a great job. It's amazing you do all this by yourself.
Oh my god, yeah. I do the art and the writing and all of the editing and the lettering and all the marketing and all of the everything, and I'm very tired. So I would love to see this get funded.
Yes, folks, get it funded. Come on, let's get Matta up there. She has other books to put out there. So
I'm actually working on the pages for child possession services in the back for John Westhoff. So those are going to be done by the end of the week. So I've got that going on. I've got like much more books that I want to put out this year, like issue 3 of Buddy and Friend. I'd love to put out a few more Sacrimony books. Like, I got a busy schedule. I can't afford to have this like not fund and then have to like take another month to try and fund it again. It's a lot of time.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I've got things especially once you get to 4,000 something. That's a lot.
Yeah, like it's so close, but so far at the same time.
Can I ask a question? Sure. How do you it's a more of a Kickstarter question, but how do you decide what your goal is? Are you actually, is that like the real, like the cost of what you're doing, or is that like a profit thing, or where does how do you get that number?
Good question.
So I'm gonna be very forward and say that it is technically a profit thing because I have to pay myself for my own labor.
Right.
So, the cost of printing books is a certain amount. And then, I spend at least 20 hours a week, every week working on this comic because I'm doing all of the writing. I'm doing all of like the lettering, the art, the coloring, literally everything. So like I have to make it so that I'm able to live while I make this comic.
Right.
So yeah, that's how I came up with this particular number, which is like, it like at this point I'm factoring in my own page rate, but I'm not actually factoring in the cost of my covers and stuff. So I'm technically doing covers for myself for free, which is like kind of wild because like this is hand painted, by the way.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so the original cover actually is up for grabs. It's up for sale. It's done with watercolor, color pencil, marker. Like there's also like some glitter in here to just add a little bit of shine because it looks really cool in person. But yeah, so I'm still not entirely getting paid fairly for it, but I can at least ensure that like, I can feed myself and feed my cats like while I'm still working on this.
Yeah, of course.
I love how the eyes stand out in the original.
Thanks. Yeah.
It looks like it's, like the eyes are like inset. It almost looks like they're real eyes.
Yeah, or like they're kind of like puffy from crying and being very upset, which is definitely it's a mood. Like that's going to be me if this Kickstarter doesn't fund.
All right, Jerry, let's go over this one more time. Tell the people who you are, all the good stuff, and I'll show off your projects.
I'm Jerry Carita. I'm the owner and founder of Thorny Comics. This is one of the things I've created. It's the Grizzly crew. It's will be live on Kickstarter from February 8th through roughly March 8th. And it's an all ages comic book about a team of pirate bears who sail the seas and protect villages from, scary pirates.
I love it. I love it. And now you can talk about Scott.
And then the other one is, so Scott Snyder presents the CloakRoom, an anthology series. This is a collection, an ongoing anthology series. This first issue has 7 stories in it. It's going to be it's almost 60 pages of story, actually. And it's I thought we'd end up with like 30 to 40, and we ended up hitting like 50 plus pretty quickly.
That's an actual book.
Yeah,
it's a lot. We're gonna end up having
you're getting into like perfect bound territory, I guess. Is it gonna be perfect bound or staple bound?
It's we're debating it now. It's probably gonna be perfect bound because I don't want it to I don't want it to feel like it doesn't. I don't want it to feel like the staples can't handle it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because then it just like it splays open all the time. So perfect bound is definitely.
We've had those comics where you're like, oh my god, why did they staple it?
Yeah, and you're trying to like store it on your shelf, and it's like flopping out and like doing weird stuff.
Yeah. The Reign of Dracula book that we did is 48 pages, and that's my limit. I don't think I would staple anything bigger than that.
My Sacrimony books are like 30 pages staple bound, and I feel like even that is pushing it.
Dude, you do a good job though, because that it's a thick comic, but at the same time you set it up in a way where, look, that's standing by itself. It's not even in the bag. It's not even in the bag. It's just standing by itself.
Because it's such a chunker.
I have so many books. I just started reading through all my other Kickstarter books to try to figure out how, like, at what point would I not want to staple anymore. This is Bleeding Pulp. Justin Gray does this book.
Ooh.
And it's like 3 stories in here. It's only about 60 something pages, I think, in here. And he does perfect binding. Mm-hmm. And then I grabbed this one. This is Bigfoot Knows Karate. Dan Price. This is
I know Bigfoot. Yeah, knows karate.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Such a great title.
It's so great,
dude.
He's awesome.
He was at Brooklyn Comic Con, right?
He was. That's where I met him. And so this book is exactly 48 pages, and he still staple binds it, and it's really good, and it doesn't feel crazy. So, but I think that's my limit.
I think that's the limit, though.
Oh, actually, my field guide is 52 pages, and I did staple bound for like cost reasons, and it's okay, but it's also because I opted to get like thinner paper so that it doesn't flop out as much.
But that's like one of those D&D manual type of things, and those are usually stapled.
Yeah, like I'm gonna get to the point where I have to go perfect bound, like when I do like 3rd edition or whatever, because I do a new edition per like story arc thingy. But like for now, I'll just staple it.
Yeah, we're talking about doing that for Reign of Dracula, where the pages might be thinner. But that's the Scott Snyder anthology. It's an anthology, an ongoing series of stories written by people who are in Scott's writer's workshop. And Scott, it's all with his blessing, and he gives story notes on a lot of the stories to the creators as they're working on their project. Nice. So, yeah, a lot of it is with his input. I think 5 of the 7 stories are ones that had direct input from Scott, like just thoughts and feedback on the script.
Nice.
I like that. And again, that's giving back to the community and moving it forward.
Also, just like giving young writers a platform to have their stuff published, which is like super duper important, because like nobody wants to talk to you unless you publish something, and not everybody has the resources to like run and fulfill their own Kickstarter. So it's great to have everything in one spot with a bunch of people just like putting it together.
Everybody's always asking me, why is your teddy bear superhero taking so long? I'm like, because I'm trying to pay people, and I'm trying to, and I'm doing all this by myself. So,
it's hard, dude. It's hard.
You're also running a media empire. You're very busy, man.
Yeah, right. And you have family things on the side also that eat a lot of time. Like life is hard. Life is hard. I can't fault you whatsoever.
Oh my God, folks. Dude, if you guys are doing this stuff, you're not alone. I hope that anytime you listen to our podcast, you understand, all the people that are there with you and all the people that you can actually talk to. You're not alone. One of the big things as writers that we're always taught, and especially because we don't trust each other sometimes, is that we should trust each other, and we should tell each other our stories, because it helps the writing process.
Yeah, I mean, also, if anybody has questions on like how to run a Kickstarter or how to start up, like just hit me up on social media. I will absolutely help because I want to see more people out there. I want to see people succeed. Because it took me so long to even start Sacrimony. I started it when I was like 36 because I was just like, I didn't know what to do. I was really afraid. Like, it takes a lot of like courage to even start this thing and throw it out into the internet void and like hope that enough people like it to like make it a tangible thing. So yeah, I mean, like I said about Scott Snyder, it's cool that he's able to start people young and like give them that experience of like, all right, this is what it's like. Here's how you write the thing. Like, put it together. This is like the Kickstarter that's going on, and people get like they get on the inside like a lot earlier than some of us who started when they were 36.
Dude, when I started, there was no such thing as an inside. And when I started, it was a whole other thing to get your book published. It was like giving birth.
Oh my god, yes, it's so gatekeepy. Like definitely before Kickstarter times, like me and my friends would just like randomly have ideas and like write letters to Image Comics and be like, here, take this. And it's like we felt like that was kind of the only way to get anything going, because it's like we knew that what we were doing wasn't like Marvel or DC material, and like Image was kind of like the only other option because they were doing indie stuff. But like it's great that you can just kind of skip that all together and just be like, all right, whatever I want, whatever I can dream of, I can just slap it on Kickstarter and see if there's a market for it.
All right, folks, here's the rundown. I'm not gonna go too much because we're already at the 15 mark.
Yeah, we're dancing with danger here.
Yeah. So here's the rundown. You also have Fumigator. We heard about this. It's a great sci-fi book here. It can use your help. It still has 14 days to go to get to 3,500. He's at 893. It's a doable goal. But I think his project is having a little bit of a stall. Because
that's actually a trend now where it's like because a lot of other comic creators within my circle, like they have a campaign, it's super strong for like the first 4 days, then it completely flatlines until like the last 3 days.
It's like Kickstarter does, like they alert everyone who's following the campaign early, and then they do it again when there's 2 days left, and
then 8 hours
and that's the 2 times when you're actually busy.
Yeah, and that's also like the oh shit moment where people are like, either they forget to back it or they don't.
Right.
Speaking of which, Jerry, it surprised the hell out of me that Rich had such a hard time with his book, and he almost canceled the book.
Yeah.
You know what it is? Yeah, we came close. We came close twice, actually. So like after the first couple of so like Cicada Samurai, I hit my funding goal on like day 2, and Billy the Kid, we hit it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then Reign of Dracula, it took a minute to kind of get close, and then we honestly we ended up doing it. We got there because 1 or 2 people showed up and wanted to buy original art, and Les put his original 11x17 artboards up.
Nice.
Wow.
One guy spent almost $1,500 just on buying a bunch of those. One person. And then we got through our funding goal. We funded, our goal was 5,000, I think, and we hit 64 and change. And this
I remember,
responsible for 1,500. So I started having a panic attack that his credit card wasn't going to go through. That would put us back under the number again. I don't even know what happens at that point.
You cry.
Yeah, you just weep.
I know that once you fund, they can't. You're funded, but the project has to end in order for you.
Yeah, and behind the scenes, credit cards get declined and stuff along the way. Like you kind of expect to lose a couple hundred just on like declined pledges, but like to lose that 1,500, that's just like screaming into a paper bag territory right there.
Yeah, it was like kind of bonkers, but we got very lucky at the end, and that was a very weird campaign. Like I've had that same thing. All my other campaigns, you have that big bump at the beginning, and then it's kind of a flat line, especially if you do it for 4 weeks. There's like a long, slow period.
Yeah, never again for me.
And then I started thinking about doing my next few that are making them much shorter, because it seems like you get a good run and then it's dead for 3 weeks, and then you get a good run. So why don't we just not have that 3 weeks?
Yeah, I've tried a lot of different durations. I've tried 18-day campaigns, which like it's good in terms of like that's pretty much the only amount of time I have energy for. But I feel like it does kind of sell yourself a little too short. So I feel like between 21 to 24 days is kind of the sweet spot. I did 28 this time and I have regrets because I do feel like it's just kind of like dragging and it gives people like more time to consider canceling.
Right.
Because I had a lot of really painful cancellations, like on the second before last week, if that makes in the past week before it ended. Like,
oh yeah, I remember. I was on, like I said, I was on your page.
Yeah, you were just like, dude, what the hell is going on? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Sure,
like,
what you would see was that the money would go up, and then the backers wouldn't move, and then the backers would move, and the money would go down. And I'm like,
suddenly it was like, there's 2 more backers, but suddenly it's like $200 short of what it used to be, and it's just like, kind of screaming and like tearing your hair out at that point. It's like, you know what? I'm not gonna look at this for a few days, and I'm just gonna take a walk. That's it.
Yeah, that's all you can really do. Like, there's that middle period where it's basically on you to just do all the marketing, all the promotion. And if you didn't get to like a project we love status, organically, the algorithm isn't going to help you much. And it's like, it's very frustrating. It can be.
It hurts.
It's long and it's long and scary.
It's a lot of psychic damage.
Of course, Good Boy is doing well, very well actually.
As it should be.
As always, great story. It's the opposite of John Wick. The dog goes out and gets revenge.
I love that concept because you know what? Dogs just do not fare well in media, like most of the time. So it's good to see that the dog survives and it can get revenge.
Exactly. Matta, do me a favor. Send me the link for drumsticks because I could swear I had it up here, but I don't see it.
All right.
All right. Of course, folks, dude, if you guys are writers, this is where you got to be. This is Writer Wars. It is a game where you are putting in sentences against each other, and then the best sentence wins, and the group of people who are doing this, vote on the best sentence. Write Wars is fantastic. If you want something to get your creativity going, you get that out of that writer's block. This is the game that you want to do. They're going to be doing a Kickstarter soon, I think at the end of the month. And I love what this thing is. I've signed up to be a VIP member for it because I really feel like this is, especially as a writer, we're always looking for a way to get the creative juices flowing. And I love throwing things on the board, as you can tell back here. And I feel like it does exactly what I do, except in gaming format. And hey, I'm a video gamer, so.
Yeah, it's also like reminiscent of Jackbox. So if you're a writer that enjoys like writing incredibly stupid shit for Jackbox, like this is definitely up your alley.
All right, here we go. And of course, our friends over at Hit Point, if you guys love D&D, these guys are setting up this beautiful D&D campaign that works with cards at the same time. But it's a full campaign, and the cards is just more fun.
And the cards are shiny.
Oh my God.
They had me at shiny cards.
They look beautiful. They are going to be doing their campaign in April, and we are going to tabletop at the Cradle of Aviation, where they're going to be showing off some stuff and kickstarting the Kickstarter there at what is it? Tabletop
Gaming Expo? Yeah.
Tabletop Gaming Expo. All right, and I think that's it. And here we go with drumsticks.
I also put another one there that a friend needs some help on.
Oh, okay. So I'll put it up and I'll set up the next one and you can start talking.
All right. So Armageddon Quest is actually, my friend Dave is reviving a long out of print comic from the 1980s with the creator's blessing, actually. And it's about a very nice Antichrist who doesn't want to be the Antichrist and bring about Armageddon, but it seems like circumstances around him are just like, trying to force him into it. It's a very cool story because it's one of those things that it's hard to categorize in terms of genre because there's a lot going on, which I always enjoy stories like that don't follow like a particular formula where it's just like, all right, good guy punches bad guy at the end. It's just like, Tazio is just going through like some crazy shit. And also I did the colors for one of the covers, so I'm particularly invested in this. I didn't do the colors for that one. That was all Angela Odling, but for the main cover, I did the colors for that. And yeah, it's just like if you like stories that are kind of like a very weird and wild ride where you're not entirely sure what's going to happen, you can't really predict the plot, like Armageddon Quest is definitely cool.
Dude, I just love the fact that 666 is there and this is the Antichrist.
Yeah, right. I didn't notice that. I should screen cap that and show it to Dave. But he's probably also staring at it, like tearing his hair out, because it's been very hard to get our campaigns.
I gotta say, all he needs to do is get to 3,000. 6 days, we should be able to get to 5,000.
Yeah, right. It's hard when you kind of first start up and you don't have a huge audience. But like, I really hope that this sees it to the finish line because I want my copy. All right, Drumsticks of Doom is by my comics partner in crime, John Westhoff. We're working together on child possession services, but here we are talking about Drumsticks of Doom, which is an alternate reality where if, instead of the Beatles becoming the most popular band in the world, what if Black Sabbath was the most popular band in the world? Well, werewolves and undead and lots of crazy shit is what would happen. And the story centers around the main character named Lana, who is just, trying to do her little independent music thing, and she wants to keep metal at the top of the charts.
There you have it, folks. That's the rundown. I can tell I lost a couple of people up here on my list. They're just going to have to be covered on Monday.
Oh.
And folks, of course, what we'll do here is what we always do. I'll press the button, and where it stops, nobody knows.